Let's bring in CTV's Mackenzie Gray, who joins us now from Ottawa. Mackenzie, lots to talk about here. Let's first start with this hydrogen deal that both countries are expected to sign during this visit. How far along is that discussion right now?
Well, they're going to be signing a deal in 2 days in Stephenville, Newfoundland, to have this kind of green hydrogen. And this has been a real focus of Chancellor Olaf Scholz and his government. One context and one important thing to keep in mind, Lois, is the Green Party is a member of Olaf Scholz's coalition in Germany. So when the focus is on kind of green energy and making sure that there's a suitable transition in climate change, that's why we've seen a lot of the conversations that both Justin Trudeau and Olaf Scholz have had, talking about green initiatives. And this is what the Stephenville project is going to be, using wind power to be able to export this hydrogen to Germany. But Mr. Trudeau was asked on a number of different occasions, both from German media and Canadian media, what kind of a timeline it would look like, just not only for this project, but for any other projects going from either Quebec or the Maritimes to be able to bring energy over to Germany. And he didn't really have a timeline on that. He kind of talked about projects that didn't have a proper business case associated with them, that there wouldn't be the financing in place. But Mr. Trudeau also brought up the idea that the new context of the situation with Russia, where they could potentially be pulling out the rug from underneath some of these European countries when it comes to the energy that they import, it might change the situation for Canadian companies and make it more financially feasible for them to be able to send that energy over to Europe. But there's certainly no timeline when it comes to being able to figure out when that energy could get there. On the Stephenville project that Germany and Canada are being signing kind of an exploration deal on, a environmental audit needs to go forward at this point in time. So that's where that specific project is. But the kind of general conversation, there seems to be an agreement between the two countries that things need to move forward, but on a specific level, there aren't a lot of details.
Right, and as this discussion is happening, as the pair were discussing their future plans, there were a lot of questions also about Ukraine. Trudeau continuing to face criticism from Ukraine over his government's decision to allow that turbine repaired in Montreal to be sent back to a Russian energy giant. What did we hear about that today? How did the leaders respond to those questions?
Well, Chancellor Olaf Scholz thanked Canada in his opening remarks for sending these turbines back, and this has been what we've heard from the German government. Look, we want to support Ukraine, but if we don't have the oil and gas coming in the wintertime, we're not going to be able to support Ukraine because, as one senior German official put it, we're going to have a popular uprising in Germany. So they recognized that they needed this one turbine that was being repaired in Montreal at a Siemens factory there to be sent back to Russia to be used in the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. And Canada also waived potential sanctions or allowed 5 other turbines that could potentially be dealt with in Montreal as well, this plant that Siemens has that fixes this up. So a substantial hole in the kind of sanctions package that Canada has had. But we did see all the shows come today. Thank Canada for that. And Mr. Trudeau was pressed about whether or not Canada would kind of change course and reverse the idea on that. He didn't say no, but he said no in his words, essentially saying they wanted to take off the table the potential for Vladimir Putin to use these turbines as a reason why they would turn the taps off for oil and gas being able to go to Russia. And Mr. Scholz echoed that as well, too. So maybe a bit of quid pro quo here, too, Lois. Canada had to make a difficult political decision, and Mr. Trudeau had to make a difficult political decision to allow the one turbine that was here and the other turbines to potentially come back to Canada. And I think that's in part why we're seeing Olaf Scholz coming here today saying, hey, I'm going to be signing this deal. Thank you very much, Canada. Coming and thanking Canadian people on the home soil and potentially giving Trudeau a win in terms of being able to set up a natural resources project on the East Coast to send hydrogen over to Germany.
All right, we do have to leave it there. CTV's Mackenzie Gray reporting for us in Ottawa. Great to see you.
Thanks, Lois.